Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan, where we discuss the headline-making stories here at home and across the world. Well, it is the meeting they said would never happen. China's Xi, India's Narendra Modi have held the first talks in 5 years at the BRICS summit in Kazan. China's President Xi Jinping and India's Narendra Modi held a much anticipated but only recently confirmed meeting on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Kazan on Wednesday. The last such discussion was in Brasilia in 2019. That is also a BRICS summit. Reports of a meeting at a BRICS summit intensified after both arrived for the summit on Tuesday, with each holding bilateral discussions with Russian President Vladimir Putin. On Monday, the sides also announced that a deal had been reached over the Himalayan border dispute in Ladakh. Border clashes repeatedly broke out between Indian and Chinese troops in previous years, with one reported incident in Ladakh leading to 20 Indian soldiers and 4 Chinese servicemen killed in June 2020. Xi and Modi shook hands against a backdrop featuring their national flags, and both stressed the importance of handling their disputes. The Chinese leader said the two countries were at a crucial stage of development and should carefully handle differences and disagreements and facilitate each other's pursuit for development aspirations. India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri told reporters after the meeting, quote, "The two leaders affirmed that stable, predictable and amicable bilateral relations between India and China, as two neighbors and the two largest nations on earth, will have a positive impact on regional and global peace and prosperity." The 16th BRICS summit is taking place in Kazan, Russia, and it opened on the 22nd and will conclude today. Now, Sri Lanka is represented by its Foreign Secretary Aruni Vijayawardena, and she is expected to address the summit as well on behalf of Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayake. Now, world leaders from more than 20 countries along with delegations from over 30 countries are attending this major economic, political and cultural event of the decade. Now, coming to news developing here in Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka Tourism Promotion Bureau has extended an open invitation to tourists, encouraging them to visit the country without fear during the upcoming tourist season. The Bureau emphasized that the Ministry of Defence has implemented robust measures to ensure the highest level of safety for visitors. The Bureau assured that there are no threats to the mental well-being and safety of tourists currently in the country. Now, this statement comes in response to a security advisory issued by the US Embassy in Colombo yesterday morning, which warned of a potential attack targeting the popular destination Arugambe based on credible information. In light of this serious threat, the embassy restricted its staff from traveling to the Arugambe area with immediate effect, and the advisory also urged American citizens to avoid visiting the area until further notice. Now, following the US advisory, the Israeli National Security Council also issued a warning to Israeli nationals advising them to avoid the eastern and southern coastal areas of Sri Lanka. Thereafter, Sri Lanka's Acting Inspector General of Police, Priyantha Veerasurya, held a special press conference. And at this press conference, Veerasurya said that security had been heightened at several locations frequented by foreign nationals. Now, the decision was made at the Security Council meeting chaired by the President that convened multiple times to analyze the intelligence reports received some 3 weeks ago, that's on the 7th of October. The acting IGP confirmed that all necessary measures have been taken to ensure security following these intelligence reports. Now, at the same time, the Foreign Employment Bureau has distributed 105.6 million Sri Lankan rupees to individuals who fell victim to overseas employment scams over the past year. This compensation follows legal action taken against individuals and unauthorized agencies involved in fraudulent activities related to foreign employment. The Bureau initiated these legal proceedings based on special raids and complaints that were received. Over the past 9 months, a total of 570 complaints were filed, leading to the arrest of 104 individuals. Now, to report any such incidents, the Sri Lanka Foreign Employment Bureau has introduced a special hotline. Now, this hotline is 1989. So anyone who has fallen victim to overseas employment scams or has been duped by these unauthorized agencies and individuals can call this number 1989 and file their complaints. Well, census units in Sri Lanka have doubled over 4 decades. That's right. Now, the listing phase of the 2024 population and housing census has been successfully completed. Now, what is this listing phase? This phase involves the counting of census units, which include residences, business establishments, institutions, and housing complexes where people reside. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the number of census units in the country has nearly doubled over the past 4 decades. According to the latest census data, there are 8.3,077,895 census units in Sri Lanka. This is compared to the 3.4,023,486 units recorded back in 1981. Now, that's doubling, almost more than doubling the number of units over the past 4 decades. Now, the next phase of the census will involve collecting detailed information about individuals and the conditions of their housing. Now, all census officials are legally bound by the census ordinance to maintain the confidentiality of the personal information they collect, and every individual is required to provide accurate information. Now, December 19 has been designated as Census Day, on which the comprehensive census report will finally be released to the authorities. On the 14th of November, Sri Lankans will head to the polls to vote for the new parliament. The Election Commission has reported receiving 57 complaints of election law violations within the past 24 hours. Now, of these, 13 complaints were directed to the National Elections Complaints Management Center, while 45 were received by the District Election Complaints Management Center. Now, since the 26th of last month to the 19th of October, a total of 520 complaints related to election law violations have been lodged according to the Election Commission. Additionally, 2 incidents of election-related acts of violence have been reported as well. The police have arrested 29 individuals in connection with the complaints related to the 2024 parliamentary election. Now, meanwhile, the People's Action for a Free and Fair Election, that's PAFREL, has announced the deployment of 5,000 observers for the upcoming parliamentary election. PAFREL's Executive Director Rohan Hettiarachchi said that the relevant training programs for these observers have already commenced. Transparency International Sri Lanka says that the misuse of public resources for political campaigning poses a significant threat to the integrity of a free and fair election. TISL pointed out that various forms of public property, including movable and immovable assets, as well as public finance, are often exploited for political gain.
So when you look at public property, you have movable, immovable property, and you also have public finance. So it could be the starting of new projects. It could be using of public vehicles. It could be using of public buildings for the purpose of political campaigning. So in such a situation, that affects the quality of a free and fair election, because it gives an undue advantage to certain candidates while others do not have this advantage. Hence, the equal playing field, there is no longer an equal playing field. That being said, one has to also understand that there is a moral obligation placed on all citizens of the country, because this is our resources that if it's misused, that we will not, the most vulnerable sections in our society or the most in need will not have these resources, and we won't have these resources, and this will affect us as specifically as well as the future generations to come. So True, there is a legal mechanism that can be imposed, but there also exists a moral obligation for us to actually take part and to ensure and safeguard these resources.
Now over to the Sea of Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka Navy has rendered its assistance to bring ashore an injured fisherman. Now, this fisherman was aboard a local multi-day fishing trawler in the seas southeast of Sri Lanka, some 179 nautical miles off Kirinda. Now, the local multi-day fishing trawler was identified as Hansana 1 and was reported to have left the Kaparattata fisheries harbour with 5 fishermen on the 15th of October on a fishing voyage. The Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources had alerted MRCC Colombo, established in the Navy headquarters, that a crew member on board this fishing vessel was injured and requested Navy's assistance to transfer him ashore for treatment. In response to the alert, the Navy, in coordination with the MRCC Colombo, swiftly made arrangements to bring the injured fisherman closer to the offshore patrol limit of Galle. Subsequently, a fast attack craft of the Sri Lanka Navy from the Southern Naval Command was deployed to ensure the rapid transfer of the injured man. The fast attack craft brought him ashore while administering first aid, and the Navy subsequently rushed the injured fisherman to the teaching hospital of Karapitia for medical attention. Starting today, the National Dengue Control Unit of the Ministry of Health has initiated a 3-day special mosquito eradication program. This comes in response to the recent increase in dengue cases due to the heavy rainfall experienced in the past few weeks. The National Dengue Control Unit announced that this program will be implemented in high-risk areas within the districts of Colombo, Gampaha, Kalutara and Putlam. Currently, there are 22 identified high-risk medical officer of health areas across the country. This program will prioritize religious sites, schools, environment and government and private institutions, factories and workplaces. According to the latest data released by the Dengue Control Unit, Colombo district has recorded the highest number of dengue cases this year. So far, a total of 40,958 dengue cases have been reported in the country. Now, the Met Department has issued a advisory for showers, thunder showers and strong winds. Now, the Met Department says that showers on thunder showers are expected at times in the western, Sabarigamua, southern, northwestern and northern provinces, as well as in the Kandy and Nuwara Elia districts during the day. Some areas of these provinces may experience fairly heavy showers of 50 millimeters or above. Additionally, showers or thunder showers are anticipated in several other areas of the country during the evening and at night. Strong winds ranging from 40 to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in the northern, north central, northwestern and central provinces, as well as in the Trincomalee and Hambantota districts. Now, as usual, the general public is strongly advised to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by lightning. Now, moving on to some sporting action. Well, Sri Lanka brought a smile to its cricket fans following a series win over the West Indies. Skipper Charit Asalanka struck an unbeaten half-century as Sri Lanka defeated the West Indies by 5 wickets in the second one-day international on Wednesday to clinch the 3-match series. Chasing a tricky 190, Sri Lanka reached the target with 34 balls to spare at the Pallekele Stadium, with Asalanka making an unbeaten 62 of 61. The match was reduced to 44 overs a side after the start was delayed by 2 hours because of rain. The victory secured a 2-0 series win for the hosts, having won the opening game by 5 wickets on Sunday. This was also the 5th consecutive bilateral ODI series win for Sri Lanka this year and the 10th consecutive home series victory. Well, that was some interesting and happy news for the Sri Lankan cricket fans. Well, that brings a wrap to this morning's edition for on the Best Breakfast Rundown with me, Zulfick Farzan. I'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow morning with more details and headline-making stories from Sri Lanka and across the world. Until then, take care and God bless.